Hey guys, welcome back to Jamal's Tube. I thought maybe I'll make a casual video, but the topic is not so casual. It's actually the common mistakes that beginners do in their aquascape tanks. Collectively, I have 30 tanks. I don't really have much time on myself. Some tanks have become somewhat neglected, not by purpose, on purpose, simply because their whole setup was meant to be less fish inhabitants and more towards the scape of the tank. But throughout the experiences of owning these tanks, I've had a few mistakes. Some of them are actually common mistakes and some of them are self-induced mistakes. So stay till the end of this video and I will be covering a little bit more on these issues so that you can divert away from that path. So the first mistake that I did was to reuse aqua soil. Don't reuse your aqua soil. Some of my tanks have only substrates such as Kerala river sand, lava rocks in the shape of sand, or pebbles. I suppose with the word neglecting means without much thought. If you want plants, then you need to consider the proper substrate used. There are different types of aqua soil, the high quality ones, the middle ones, and the lower quality, or even dirt from nature itself. Normally from price or where you find them. All of these choices for aqua soil will impact, whether good or bad, how your tank is going to look like in the upcoming months after it has been set up. However, when you go for substrates that do not contain aqua soil, such as pebbles, sand, lava rocks, for example, you also need to consider the inhabitants inside. Some fish like to actually pick up the pebbles or the sand in their mouth and carry it around, and normally just dispersing it somewhere where you did not want it in the first place. So if you're mixing between aqua soil and sand, this is something you need to consider, especially for fishes that like to move substrate around. Basically, substrate, it's one of the things that you put in the beginning and it will stay there until the end of your tank. So it's actually a long-term commitment of what you choose to put inside. When it comes to aqua soil, certain types of aqua soil have larger granules compared to the other ones. How this translates is that certain plants anchor themselves better with aqua soil granules that are slight odd shape that provides aeration so that the stems can go inside. Lower types of aqua soil, how they impact your tank is that they break down very fast as compared to the higher quality ones. As a result, you might have more dust particles in the tank and some plants will not be able to grow their roots properly and as a result impact how they look. I'll provide some solutions down below and one day I'll be coming up with a video talking more for aqua soil as well as the substrates that you can put in your tank. If you guys like this kind of content, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel and comment down below. For any questions, any inputs you have, I actually appreciate the good ones and the bad ones. The good ones are better. The bad ones are still good. Next is overcrowding or poor plant placement. This I got caught in. I was really excited on my first few trips towards the aquarium shops and sometimes I had a little bit more money that day. What happened was I would splurge on a few different types of plants without actually considering their requirements firsthand. As a result, when I brought them into my tank, I had one tank fully functioning at that time. I wasn't considerate enough to, one, wash them properly when they arrive and before you put them in the tank. Second, the pH level of your tank when you bring those plants in the aquarium shops into your home, they were all individually in their own separate tanks and then you went ahead and put them in one tank. That's what I did. So as a result, some plants died. A lot of them burned, especially the ones that fully matured plants. Their stems would burn first. Some of them would survive, especially if that tank I did a water change the next few days. The result of the plant was not how I expected it to look like. Some of the impact, your tank will be over cluttered. It's too much going on. And then some plants might be fast growing, especially these stem ones. So if you have these stem plants right in the foreground of the tank, one thing that I noticed and what made it worse in this situation for me was that some plants overgrew, so that actually obstructed the waterway of the tank. This stopped CO2 from actually being dissolved properly in the tank. If you see a plant in an aquarium shop, make sure that you do a lot of research first before you get it. It's gonna save you a lot of time, money, and eventually accumulating bacteria inside the tank that you don't really need in the first place, especially if it's a new tank, as well as delivering beneficial bacteria, especially the ones coming out from the filter. What happened was that this made more algae blooms, bacteria growth, and fishes, eventually some of them died from diseases that were not supposed to be there if the water was clean and also unobstructed. The next point would be skipping CO2 and fertilization needs. Some plants prefer a weaker flow, highly CO2 water, and some plants prefer a more flowy water and not too much CO2. Without the CO2 being properly circulated, may it be from your canister filter or your hang-on back filter not actually circulating properly throughout the tank, it doesn't deliver proper CO2 for all the plants. As a result, some plants turn yellow or die, which eventually leads to more algae growth and nutrient imbalances. The solution for this would be to research first on the plants, whether they are high-tech or low-tech required plants. Set up a pressurized CO2 system and make sure you get some hydrogen peroxide. This is not only useful to kill the bacteria in the tank when used minimal, you can also use it to actually clean the algae in your CO2 diffusers. I'm not quite sure in terms of dosing Cichlid XL. I know that it's actually an algaecide. I normally use it in my tank with CO2's canister system. So I used it both. I noticed that the algae would die pretty fast, but I've never really used it just for CO2 alone. And I would recommend watching this video for my CO2 tutorial and why you really need one. Dosing fertilization is also something crucial in keeping aquascape tanks. Fertilization helps with your plants growing. However, a little too much can be detrimental. A little too little doesn't provide much nutrients for your plants to, get the proper nutrients. So you need to find the balance and their own doses. Follow the instructions in the products that you buy. General rule of thumb. Always use lesser from the required dosage. For example, algaecide, don't put too much algaecide. Don't put too much fertilizer as well. These two things are better when you do it in lesser dosage. Aquascaping lights are meant to mimic the sunlight. When it comes to lighting, to get the proper version of how aquatic plants look like, then you need to get the proper lighting setup as well. There are different types of lighting. You can tell by the price, and the pricier ones actually do come with a very advantage. One, you can control the different intensity of the light, meaning you can make it brighter or you can dim the light. This actually is helpful for some plants that at certain times require much stronger intensity of lighting compared to stages where they don't require that much. Some considerations as well, the standing of the light. There are some that you can hang from the ceiling or with stands. This is helpful to raise the lighting going up and down. This will be beneficial if you prefer having somewhat of a low tech but with live plants as well. So then having this kind of setup is actually quite useful. All of these will require a little bit more of flues. The standard ones that you will normally get are the ones with the plastic or the metal stands on the side. These are what I use, but I can notice like a few tanks like these ones here. The impact of not having proper lightings is the algae. It can promote just more excessive algae, and as a result, some ways you can mitigate this is to get a proper timer, because algae actually likes lighting. So that means if 8 hours and you can see a lot of algae, then reduce the time that you turn on your lights. Finally is neglecting maintenance. I think for a lot of beginners, the question is, when do I water change? When do I clean the filter? Should I just clean it every day? Should I just clean it after every water change? It is an experience. The more you do water changes, the more you are aware. My rule of thumb, when it comes to water the tank, change the water at least a week or a week and a half once it has been established. If it's not established yet, you can try to do water changes twice or 3 times a week. Why? An established tank will have more beneficial bacteria that can help remove the bad stuff, especially for the plants and the fishes in the tank. Skipping regular pruning, cleaning, and water changes are some mistakes when it comes to maintenance. The impacts: plants become overgrown, debris accumulates, and once again, algae just takes over, just at an accelerated pace. So the solution: establish a maintenance schedule. Perform water change once a week or a week and a half for the established tanks. With percentages of about 20-30%, that should be fine. And the tanks that are yet to be established, twice or 3 times a week, 10-20% for non-established tanks. Clean your glass either by using an algae scraper or a sponge. I've noticed some of my snakehead or the predator fishes, they will attack anything that goes in the tank. So I prefer using sponges to do aquarium glass cleaning. And for the aquascape tanks, where the fish is a little bit more docile and timid, I'll be using the algae scraper. Plus, the algae grows much faster in the aquascaping tanks. One of my mistakes that I did was to reuse aqua soil. Don't reuse your aqua soil. Yeah, it's just gonna be repetitive, but yeah, that actually produces more algae, bacteria from the bottom of the tank or the used aqua soil. Sometimes will seep outside into the tank and goes into the water column. Next thing you know, there's algae blooms everywhere. So yeah, like the tank that I'll be showing you for my 3-foot tank, it's a 50-50 between maintaining it as it is or just restarting it or rescaping it for one of my snakehead fish, the Chanamarolioides. He's growing to be quite a big guy, so I figured maybe either put him in here or rescaping the whole tank and saying goodbye to everything here. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you guys are interested in this, don't forget to subscribe. That's pretty much the end for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned 1 or 2 things from this video. Don't repeat my mistakes. Or if you've repeated it, it's fine. It's a beginner's thing. It's normal. It's what helps you get better and helps pave way for a new, more spectacular tank before you even start a new tank. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.